Okay, so we're going to move on to our next presentation now, if Faye's still talking to us all, because Faye is from Dura Cymru, Welsh Water. So Tom, maybe you want to have a chat to Faye. So when we talk about the circular economy, you know, quite often the dialogue is all about things. It's about stuff that's made, it's about physical things. So what's nice about these two presentations is that they're about natural assets. But water is a natural asset we often kind of forget about a little bit in the circular economy, but these guys are working specifically on thinking about the replenishment of natural watercourses and monitoring to be able to do that. So I am delighted to introduce Faye from Dura Cymru, and I promise she's lovely. Natalie Dudley-Burton from Natural Resources Wales, Lara Mogridge from Natural Resources Wales. So it's just the three of you. Oh, it's just the three. So 3 fantastic people.
Thanks, Katie. So we should have some slides. And firstly, apologies, that presentation was brilliant. I'm not sure if we can top that. Good one to start with. So yeah, if we just do brief introductions to us all and the rest of the cohort. So I think I've got a clicker here. Next, there we go. So as Katie said, I'm Faye, Welsh Water Research Innovation Manager. Tom, we can have a chat afterwards. I do apologise on behalf of Welsh Water for the difficulties you've had.
Yeah, I'm Natalie Dudley-Burton from NRW. I'm the Analytical Services Manager.
And I'm Lara Mogridge, also from NRW, but I'm on the Waste Policy team.
Thank you. And in our team, in our group, we've also got Peter Stanley from NRW, Adriana Kiss from the Welsh Government, Chris Satterley from the Coal Authority, Louise Siddon, NRW, Devon Sapsford, who's from Cardiff University, and Lara. Oh, sorry, I need to get a bit closer. So on this slide, we just want to talk about why we decided to join this wonderful group. So obviously networking is really key for everybody, meeting new people, how can we benefit and bring those relationships back into our businesses. Collaborating, we all like working together to make sure that we get the best outcome from a challenge or a particular solution that we come up with. Identifying the gap, so what's missing, what do we need to look at, what do we need to consider as a group to move forward with the challenge. Explore solutions to the challenge, so we all understood that we had similar challenges when it comes to water quality, so what can we look at to try and solve that problem. Sharing a problem, as I've just mentioned, we all have the same problem, so we can work together to benefit as the outcome to make sure that that's as best as it can be. And expose to different ways of working. I think through the sessions we've had some really good experiences in the different types of solutions that we can use to overcome challenges and bring in new ideas and that sort of thing. So this is our challenge definition. I'd like to say it's probably taken us about 6 months to get here. We've had lots of debate and conversation around exactly what we decided to focus on. But our definition is through the use of innovative technologies, improve and create a more sustainable sampling and monitoring programme to improve water quality. So as we all know, water quality is very important. Water is life. We all rely on water to survive. Our ecosystems, biodiversity, climate, weather systems all rely on water. So it's a big sort of topic for all of us. We've got farming, agriculture, large industries which potentially pollute into our watercourses, fertilizers, chemicals, pharmaceuticals. And then we've also got the issues around abandoned metal mines in Wales, coal mines as well. So in Wales, we've got 1,300 abandoned metal mines, which are impacting 600 kilometres of river across the country. And Welsh Water, obviously, we have sewage treatment facilities, over 200 across Wales. We've got 36,000 kilometres of network, which contains CSOs, combined sewer overflows, which I'm sure you've all heard about in the media recently, which can discharge pollutants associated with sewage into our watercourses. And this is just some pictures to show kind of the sorts of pollution that we see. Oh, auto power off. From these elements. So I'm just going to hand over to Natalie now to talk about the problem and the program that we delivered.
Okay, so this was the program we sort of started thinking about. It's split into the, what we did, can't see the middle bit, and what was the result? So what we started off, first of all, looking at wanting to solve water quality problems across the board. Yeah, as Faye said, we started off with a really, really wide scope, too wide, all having discussion points, wanted to include everything. Unfortunately, all right, yeah. Yeah, so we scope is too big, way too big. We wanted to include everything. We really enthusiastic, but it got so big. It was one of these things that we wanted to solve world peace in the end, because we were chucking everything in. What about this? What about that? Pollution is such a huge thing, which we're all really passionate about. So what we did then was we had to come up with a change, work together, refined it into something that was manageable, which was realistic, which was something that we thought in this short space of time we have together, planned together then, that we could actually achieve something. We've had new members join the cohort throughout, which has added new perspective, new fresh pair of eyes. We've had people have to take a step back. Adriana, one of the girls with us, she had to take a step back because she had a very important job introducing the new bill for single waste plastic. So she was forgiven to go and do that, so it was quite important for her to do that. So the results now, we have a way forward. We have a plan of attack. We have developed a sensor that we are going to try and use to try and bridge the gap that we established was a sort of evidence gap need. So we're trying to introduce a new sensor, a new quick and easy way of testing water quality out there in the field. Okay. So what we've got here. So what we did first of all is we worked together and came up with a report, and that report was looking at where the evidence gaps were. NRW does monitoring, Welsh Water does, the Coal Authority. We're all doing our similar job differently, all gathering information, and we're not sharing it. And there's potential for duplication, not understanding what everybody does. So the first thing we did was we wanted to understand what those evidence gaps were. So we produced a report. It's a very fluid report. It's going to be used and added to as we do more different types of monitoring. But what they allowed us to do was to find those evidence gaps. Interestingly, I've already been to another meeting where we've been able to produce this document and it's been useful for somebody else. So that's really shows the sort of value of this sort of pooling together. So we've also looked into what technology is out there, what we can look at, different techniques, what we can use to make a difference. So the guys in Cardiff Met have come up with a new sensor. I'll talk you a little bit through that again. Oh, sorry, Cardiff Uni, sorry, apologies, sorry. And we have a trial location and methodology is happening this week and next week. We've got these sensors now out in Van, up in Llanidloes, up in mid to North Wales. So that's quite exciting that what we've developed is actually out there now, and we're going to have some results shortly. Yeah, working together, building those relationships and hoping to get something tangible that we can actually show what we're doing. So this is the science bit now, okay? So what is actually happening? Passive sampling is different to normal sampling. Normal sampling, guy goes, gets a bottle, puts it in there, takes it to the lab, we analyze it. Passive sampling is more about having something in the field, collecting data effectively. So how that's done is You can see there's a layer of discs there. What you have, which would have been great if I brought one along because it would have helped, is you have basically have to construct these discs together. You have different layers that do different functions. So basically for this, there's a layer, an absorption layer that you put in there and you put it into the river. It'll collect whatever you're looking for based on what absorbent you've got in there. So what we're looking to do is looking for metal analysis. So these have been developed. What then typically happens is it goes in a cool box, gets delivered to the people who need them. They get deployed into the river for a couple of weeks. So what that tells you, it's not an instant what is in the river right at that moment. It's kept in situ for 2 to 3 weeks, where it's telling you more about what happened over that period of time, if there has been any pollution. And then what traditionally happens is they get put back in the cool box, sent to the laboratory where it's deconstructed, extracted, and then analysed on an instrument. What we're doing now is cutting out the part where it goes back to the lab. We're using this handheld device to actually get readings in the field. So it's kind of using two different known technologies and trying to sort of get a more instant investigative tool to be able to sort of understand if there's pollution happening there and then. Because what happens with this, yes, it gives you a lot of information, but it has to go back to the lab for analysis, which can take a week or so, whereas this is instant. So this is how we're trying out different ways of sensors to actually get more instant value, to be able to react sooner and yeah, make that difference, make those decisions earlier to maybe prevent more pollution. Okay, over to Laura next.
Yeah, so that was the techie bit, which is probably more interesting than my bit. But just to share with you the tools that we've used to get to that point in our cohort. So throughout the CEIC programme, we've been introduced to a range of tools, and there's some of them are listed here, and that's what we've used to kind of get to this point. So they've been the foundation to get developing our challenge and to get into the process to move forward with this solution and outcome. So brainstorming was great because it generated some great ideas and it made sure that everybody's individual ideas were all considered before collaboration, by making sure we had time to think individually before coming together. The POART planning tool was central to getting the most out of everyone's time spent on the challenge, because we're all from different organisations, like Tom was saying earlier, but coming together in the community of practice when you've all got other day jobs going on is quite difficult. So planning is central to make sure that we were focused. Another tool we found useful that's not there is the Resolve tool, that highlighted there are often various possible solutions to one problem. Stakeholder mapping we used to make sure we were considering everybody who wasn't involved in our community of practice that would be affected by our challenge. And the I Wish I Wonder tool, which we used last week, which helped to constructively review our challenge and clarify what we were trying to achieve. And these tools have really kept the momentum of the cohort going, because they've enabled the space within our sessions to focus us, to discuss things, to question and further test our thinking, which is why it took us such a long time to get to our challenge definition. Because we've revisited the challenge in a more open-minded way and addressed potential ways of reaching solutions, as well as considering additional pathways and processes to get outcomes. There have been many obvious benefits to this CEIC programme, such as collaboration with people that perhaps we wouldn't have collaborated with before. Natalie and I are both from NRW, but we've never worked together before. So even internally, we're reaching out and working with people that we haven't worked with before. But these tools have added benefit by introducing us to some valuable soft skills, using them in practice. So we've been training ourselves and using them, and we can take those back and use them throughout our organisations. And that is us finished. Thank you very much for listening.
Hands full of everything.
Oh, sorry.
So thank you very much, guys. We have got time to take just a couple of questions before we move on. I can see Tom with his hand up, so.
Public apology first. My Welsh water bill will be going up this year, I know. I know, I just wanted to ask the question, obviously this is public, third sector orientated, but how do you think bringing the private sector into this sort of work would enhance it, I suppose, and move it on to potentially the next step?
I think at this stage, because I think sorry, at this stage, we all thought we wanted to see if it worked first. So we are really in the prototype phase. And I think once we have a bit more assurance that this is going to work, then I think that's when we would open it up a bit more. It's still quite theoretical and yeah, prototype, if that makes sense. So.
Phil, I think we've got a question from Phil.
It kind of leads into that. So, and it's a general conversation about how difficult it is to be aware of what's actually out there for any of the K cohorts. We experience this. It's very difficult and time consuming. I don't think I needed that, but to be able to do that. So, for example, only because I know this, because I've been working with IBM for donkey's years, okay, the IBM Oceans project, which is to put sensors on nanobots, yeah, has been running for 10 years. So there's already technology out there that allows real-time data analytics with AI algorithms behind it to tell you things in reality. And I think the issue that we've got, and something that Welsh Government might help us with, is the ability to be aware of what's happening with a 30-mile radius, or nationally or internationally, or the other side of the ocean is really important to us. If we're allowed to explore the art of the possible, part of this is. So really, it's about awareness and how much support we can get for us being aware, because trying to do it ourselves to make us aware of what's happening is just dependent on our own networks and our own knowledge, and sometimes that's not enough.
Do you want to respond on your particular context, Natalie?
Yeah, as a cohort, we have done a lot of research ourselves. Dev, who's not here with us today, sounds like he's dead, but he's not dead. He's got a team of researchers that have been looking into this and developing the sensors. So in that respect, there isn't something that can do what we want to do at the right detection limit to give us what we need for different reasons, because we want this tool eventually to be used for not just investigative, but potentially compliance, legal. So we're after a specific spec, we are. But yeah, I appreciate it, you know, it's a small cohort. The more you get in, the more knowledge you get, the better it is. But it's what we have been able to do in the time frame.
So I know I said 2, but I'm going to allow one more, and then I'm going to ask everybody else to hopefully take them. Nick, do you still have a question? So if you could pass the microphone back to Nick, and then hopefully, I'm really sorry, hopefully you can catch up at lunchtime with these guys.
I mean, it does relate a little bit to the last question, really, but from a person who's ignorant of the technology and everything else, it seems like being able to monitor that kind of stuff in real time is something that you quite clearly want to be able to do. So it was just, if you could kind of get to the actual nub of, you know, what was it that stopped you doing that, or stopped that happening before? So I suppose the reverse point is, you know, what was it about this community that enabled you to kind of solve that seemingly obvious problem, if you like?
There's a few things: costs and technology being available. And a lot of it as well is about changing historical, you know, thinking, because we've always done it this way. It's just trying to get a change in thinking as well.
I think just to add as well, this has very much obviously brought us together as different companies. Like, we're all in our silos at the moment, and we are doing water quality monitoring at various parts of watercourses, but it's bringing that together and understanding what we need as a cohort. And then we've had quite a lot of conversations about trying to understand what we can do with that information, how people can use that information, and how we can then target investment, say specifically on certain mines or certain wastewater treatment works that are having a bad impact on that particular watercourse. So it's kind of, I guess, producing that baseline of data to enable that access of data to everybody to work together to improve the watercourse.
I suppose to give it context as well, the whole challenge started off from looking specifically at metal mines, and that is why there's nothing, like, and we're not just talking about pollution. The purpose was kind of trying to get what we can out of what's polluting the environment to put it back in to use. So that's the whole circular link. So I think that, given that context, is kind of why then we're so focused on the way we've approached it.
So thank you very much to our presenters from the Water Tower. Fantastic presentation. Absolutely brilliant.